Hello and welcome to Nolan Financial Radio. My name is Chris McKinney from Nolan Financial Partners. If you'd like more information about what you're here during our show today, give us a call at 719-210-4242 or visit us online at nolanfinancialpartners.com. And while at our website, click on the radio page, check out our past shows, and subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. During today's episode, we're going to be utilizing a recent Kiplinger article that has the headline 7 Practical Steps to Kick Off Your 2026 Financial Planning. So as we move into 2026, a lot of families are doing more than just glancing at their portfolios. They're looking at beyond the numbers to think about what those numbers mean in their lives, what their goals are for their money, and for how they're going to take care of all their loved ones. For a long time, we believed financial success was mostly measured in performance, outpacing benchmarks or growing net worth or maximizing returns. It's about getting the most money. But that landscape has shifted a little bit now that we have the big, beautiful Bill Act. We also have a lot of key tax questions. And with inflation still cutting into, our ability to buy things, many people are asking something a lot deeper. Do your financial strategies still reflect the kind of life you want to live? So it's a real fair question. With the estate tax exemption now set at $15 million for 2026, a lot of uncertainty has lifted on that front. Still, that clarity doesn't make the rest of the picture simple. Rising costs, unpredictable borrowing rates, and constant political headlines that make it tough to feel truly confident about what's going to happen in our future. It's kind of like trying to plan a picnic. You finally pick the perfect day, and then the weather changes, and now you're having a potluck dinner around your kitchen table. So, in today's episode, we're going to be using this Kiplinger article, 7 Practical Steps to Kick Off Your 2026 Financial Planning. So, the first thing that I noticed in this article is your wealth aligning with your life, and what does that mean? So, people have viewed financial success mostly through the lens of numbers, right? Return, tax savings, hitting certain net worth goals, but really, it's about how much you have to use, right? It's more not about accumulation; it's about whether the money is actually supporting the kind of life that you want to live. So that's what's really important. It's not just about spreadsheets and account balances. It's about having that purpose. It's about having those goals so that you have the funds to meet those goals, right? It's not just about having the most money. So we have one client, and he is really focused on making $1 million in the market. He manages his own money. We manage other parts of his financial world, but he has his own money that's in the market, and his goal is to get it to $1 million. Well, he's really close, and he does a great job managing his own money. But is that really worth all that effort? What's your real goal for the money, right? So that's where we try to help him see that, sure, that's great. You're trying to accumulate this number, but is that number really supporting, how you want to live in retirement? So, is that what you want to do with your retirement days? Is manage your nest egg, spending all your time worrying about what your nest egg's going to do. So, it's something that we go through with our clients, and we just make sure that they're aware of what these things are, and where they can spend their a better effort so they can have more fun with while they're working and also into retirement. So the article also highlights that that a lot of people that in my industry work with couples that are in their second marriage, and so they have children from their previous relationships. And so they have this big concern about that big nest egg of how it's going to go down to their heirs. They don't want to cause conflict down the road within their family. They want to make sure their estate is taking care of who they want it to take care of. They needed to provide for each other's lifetimes, but they also want to make sure that their assets went down to their own children and their own grandchildren as they intended. So this is a situation where you have blended families and they're trying to take care of everyone fairly without creating tension within the family, because you don't want to alienate brothers and sisters or step brothers and sisters just over something as simple as a curio cabinet, or they got $5,000 more money than I did, or something like that. So there's real no single formula on how to get all this done. But in the case of a recent couple I dealt with, we connected them with a lawyer. They set up trust, and so that trust will give each spouse financial security, while it also ensures that their legacies were preserved for their heirs, right? So they everything is in those trusts. So what's good about that? Well, so trusts survive your death, and so your wants and desires survive you in the terminology in that trust. So that's a really good thing if you have a diverse family like this. And so it's just not about the technical design and that kind of thing. It just really increased their financial confidence and their ability to just move throughout their financial life without worrying about the what if scenarios, right? And so they can just start focusing on enjoying their life together and move on from that problem area. So that's a big deal when we talk about getting into retirement. Is you want to enjoy life. You don't want to be focusing on what are the problems that is going to happen when I'm gone, and what's the fight going to be over land or money, or the particular things in our homes, or whatever it might be. I come from Oklahoma, and so my father passed last year, and we've got there's 400 acres in the family. There's a lot of things that were dad's that are still in the house that mom has, and she just wants them to go out. So now we're having to figure out where they should go and who should get them. How we decide that, because my father didn't, write anything into a will saying, well, these things should go to, my son, these things should go to my other son, these things should go to my daughter, those kind of things. So it's really a little confusing for us about how to proceed with some of the items that I know my mother wants to get out of the house. But we don't know, okay, well, I want that and you want that, and nobody wants that. So how do you divvy things up when these things happen? Inevitably, they always do happen, right? We're going to pass at some time. So you want to get rid of those what if scenarios for your heirs. You want to have clear guidance on where they go, even if it's just inside a will. A trust can be there if you've got a complicated family situation. Sometimes a will is all you need, but you should really seek out an attorney. We can recommend one for you if you need that. So the next thing I want to talk about is once you've got that sense of confidence that you know where your money's going to go, you're going to have this money. You start, what is the money really for, right? That is the big question that we get into when we start to sit down and dig into who you are and what your life is going to be like right now from this point forward, and then also through retirement. What are you going to do in retirement? Is it traveling to see your kids? Is it seeing the world? Is it seeing the United States and in a camper trailer or an RV. So there's lots of options out there that are waiting for you. But being able to travel with your family and being able to be there for celebrating milestones of your grandkids, right? Birthdays, that magical 16th birthday, graduation from high school, graduate from college, being able to be there for them while they're having these big moments, that's a big deal. So you really want to be able to be there for them. So you want your wealth to align with the purposes that you have. Your strategy needs to, it's more than just a financial strategy. It really becomes a personal strategy. And so if you have the right kind of strategy, it can align with your purpose, and then it can make for a very rich retirement. That's kind of where we're getting to with that. So, all right. So families don't always see eye to eye on things, right? So spouses have different money stories based on how they grew up. And then one might value saving, the other values money as a tool for enjoyment, right? So this is where the parents' assets need to make sure that they have those, and that the children are taken care of. The parents' goals have their own goals, so you've got to get this communication going between the spouses so that they can get a cohesive kind of plan together. If one person's like, man, I'm not flying all the way to Georgia for a graduation ceremony. Well, and I'll just drive. It's like, okay, so you're going to spend all this time driving. Is that really a good plan for you in retirement to drive? From Colorado to Georgia is about 20 hours. So that's opening up to more problems on the road. Last time I drove to Oklahoma, I had a flat tire. It cost me a bunch of money because I had to get a tow. I had to buy a new tire because the tire was ruined. So also I got a chip in my windshield. So now I've got to get a new glass. So on one trip, I had these two things, and it was just a simple trip to Oklahoma. So traveling by car opens up different things versus flying, right? So flying, you kind of pass that risk on to the airlines. So I'd have saved money if I'd have flown to Oklahoma, even the expensive Christmas time, rather than driving. So, but that's how I like to drive. My wife likes to fly. So that's kind of a different perspective on it. And we just have to make sure that we accommodate each other when we can. So having those open and honest conversations, that you come to decisions together, helps reduce uncertainty and builds trust. So if not every detail is shared, that's okay. But you start to get, you want that family harmony. You want financial stress not to take a toll on your health and happiness. So we see it often, right? People who overwork, they accumulate a lot more, overspend trying to keep up with appearances and maybe not with what they really want, right? Are you living in a really nice housing area with a great HOA, and they come and clean off your sidewalk when it snows and make sure your streets are clean? That's great. Maybe there's a place that's not so expensive that will do the same thing. So do your financial choices line up with your values? Do they line up with your education, your desire for travel, your desire for philanthropy, your desire to maybe just slow down to enjoy life? It's not just about creating stability, but we want a richer, healthier quality of life. And that's what your money should do for you in retirement. So it's a tool. It's not a trophy, right? It's something that we've spent all this effort, and we created this money for ourselves, for our retirement, and we don't need to go showing it around. We just need to have fun with it, right? That's kind of the way we feel about money. And you need to build a strategy that serves your life instead of the other way around, right? Because while we're working, kind of our life is around building up that money. But once we get into retirement, then that money needs to work around us instead. So that's kind of the concept we're getting here with how to get your finances aligned to your life. But you say, hey, no, I've done that. I've already got that all done. Now what should I do? Well, so redefining your financial success isn't just about mindset. It's about putting a few intentional steps in place as we head into 2026. A little reflection combined with some clear action can bring a lot of clarity, both in your goals and in how you communicate those goals with your family. So start by clarifying your values. It sounds simple, but it's one of the most powerful things you can do. Just take a few minutes and actually write them down. Write down the principles that are going to guide your financial decisions. Things like family security, charitable giving, lifestyle goals, leaving a legacy. We're going to make a mission statement for your money, right? So that list becomes your filter for every financial choice you make. When you know what truly matters most, it's much easier to align your strategy to say yes or no to other opportunities. And you can say that yes or no with a lot of confidence, right? So it takes the pressure off chasing every new idea or market swing and brings the focus back to the purpose. So when your purpose drives your strategy, you're not just reacting to things that happen. You're creating steerage for your financial life with intention. So having that intention is really matters a lot, right? So once we have kind of our objectives and our priorities, we need to create a priority for those objectives, right? So we have them. Let's separate the must-haves from the nice-to-haves, right? So now we kind of have started to look at this as a groceries list, and so we have kind of our money at the top, we have our grocery list at the bottom, and once we get to the things at the bottom, if we don't reach there because we ran out of money and we spend it all on all the things at the top, that's okay because we've prioritized how we get things done. Say maybe it's funding your children's or your grandchildren's education. Maintaining long-term financial security is obviously not a non-negotiable at the top, right? A vacation home, a luxury upgrade might fall in the nice to have category. So both are meaningful, but they shouldn't compete with the same dollars as something that you have to do, maintaining that long-term financial security. So that's priority one. I would say is for most people. I guess if you try to chase every goal at once, it's easy to lose sight of what's important. But here's where prioritizing helps prevent those competing goals from derailing your strategy. It's not about cutting dreams. It's about sequencing them in a way that keeps your strategy realistic and sustainable. So figure out which goals come first. It makes your decisions simpler and your progress feels a lot more intentional. So before we keep going with today's conversation, I wanted to remind you that we have complimentary consultations. We have those times set aside on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. We work a little late, so we can take you after your work. Please give us a call, 719-210-4242, and we'll set up that complimentary consultation. You can ask us questions, or we can start help building your financial strategy so that you can get on course toward that ideal retirement. Check us our website out at nolanfinancialpartners.com. You can check out what we're doing there. Maybe find out we have some seminars coming up this year. We do some seminars at the library and we have some seminars at the college. So look for those there. But give us a call, 719-210-4242. All right. So we've clarified our values and we set our priorities for how we're going to get things done. The next thing we need to do is have the conversations, right? Making sure that it's clear to you and your spouse or whoever your partner is in retirement that you want to share that money with, right? So it's about making sure that you guys are on the same page, right? So that's kind of step three is once you guys make that, make sure you have some conversation about it. So create, a really good discussions. One of the things that my mother-in-law started was the family getting together as on a vacation occasionally, right? So we occasionally all get together and we go somewhere. We go to maybe the North Carolina coast, out to the Outer Banks. We rent a house for everybody, and then we just get to enjoy each other's company for a week. The hard part is the meals. So the evening meals is assigned to one of the couples every night. So everybody's got one night, and then so now you've got to eat your sisters and sisters-in-laws and brothers-in-laws food. So sometimes that can be a little interesting because they sometimes make choices that maybe you wouldn't make. So, but we do enjoy our time together when we go out to the Outer Banks. It's nice being in a nice location and being able to just spend time with the in-laws and all the brothers and sisters. So getting back to if you think that legacy is something that's important to you, your wealth becomes more than numbers. So it becomes a reflection of your values and life's purpose, right? So a lot of people do have legacy goals. Their legacy goals tend to grow the older they get. Now, I say, oh man, I've got all this money. Where really should it go? So, maybe when you first retire and you set that goal down, legacy, it's down at the bottom. But that's why we need to relook at your values and your priorities occasionally. And so we take this list and we reevaluate it. So that's kind of step 4 is relook at the list, right? Make sure that it's aligning with where you are at now. Because as you get closer to 80, maybe that legacy starts moving up your strategies and priorities. So the next step is to engage a financial service professional. Okay. For the most part, a lot of times you don't have to they're fee for service people, but there's ways to make sure that they get compensated. So it really doesn't cost you that much money. And so people think that it takes a lot of money to hire a financial service professional. Maybe not. Kind of depends on how you look at it. So, but I could say that every study I've looked at, people have a better financial outcome if they have a financial services professional as part of their process, right? So it's more about just investment performance. The financial service professional will look at your portfolio returns. They'll help keep track of those. They'll help you look at how taxes are impacting your funds. Help give you some enhanced planning ideas. If you have some insurance needs, they usually can help out with that. They can help out with family dynamics. I had a couple in the office late last year, and the husband didn't understand how much money the spouse was actually bringing in with her job. And then they were only living off of his retirement income, but she still had a job making 3 times as much money as his retirement income. And that's all they were living off of. And he's like, how come we're living like this when we have all this money? And so that started a big discussion. That was a huge family dynamic issue. So it's something that if you have a financial service professional in the mix, they can help. Okay, well, that's all right. I see where you did a good job of saving money and creating this money. So let's start looking at good ways to get this money into your ability to spend it and to use this money so that everybody can have access to the shared pot of money that we actually have. So So there's someone that can, a financial services is like a quarterback, right? They coordinate all the moving parts. So, you want an advisor who asks the questions that go beyond numbers, like what does security mean to you? How do your financial choices reflect your values? When an advisor understands both your goals and your motivations, they can build strategy that truly supports your life, right? So, an experienced financial service professional is not just strategist, they're also guides, right? So you build a relationship, it's collaborative. They can help bring you some vision, open you up to some things maybe you haven't thought of, right? So the last part of this puzzle is getting back to that family conversation. So once you've gone through all these steps, you've got your list, you've got your priorities, you've kind of talked about where everything fits, and then you went to a service professional and you started to figure out your overall strategy. Then you've got to come back around again and have that sit down with your spouse, family members, and talk through those strategies. So you really need to nail down how those strategies are going to affect everybody, spouses, kids, future heirs. Not necessarily everybody has to be part of the conversation, but you need to know what matters to most of those people so that you can make sure that you're taking care of them in your plan. So if you need to have conversations with them to find out what those priorities and values and goals are among your whole family, that's a really good thing to do. So everyone gets on the same page. It's much easier to preserve harmony when the time comes to put those strategies into action. I'm guessing those talks don't have to be formal, so they can be awkward. It could just be over dinner. It could be subtle. It can be just during a family gathering, right? So you don't have to make it as a big message, right? You just have to have conversations that strengthen relationships and gives financial strategies some lasting meaning. Okay, so the last thing is keep going back and looking at all the things you've done on an annual basis. Make sure that they realign. Like I mentioned before, as you go through time, other things are going to become more important to you. So look for red flags, look for things that change, and make sure that everything aligns with that. Taxes may change, things may change. Well, guess what? Your financial service professional can help you figure that stuff out. So give us a call, 719-210-4242. Check out our website, nolanfinancialpartners.com. Call us at 719-210-4242 to set up that complimentary consultation. Join us again for another great episode of Nolan Financial Radio.